In just the last few minutes, the nomination of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who will become the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court, passed yet another key hurdle. Although not the way it normally happens. Normally, the Judiciary Committee advances the nomination to the full Senate for a confirmation vote. But because no Republican senator on the committee broke ranks, there was a tie, and it was left to the full Senate to accomplish that task. And know that that was deliberate. The 11 Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee want you, and especially their base, to know which side of history they are on.
If Judge Jackson is confirmed, I believe she will prove to be the most extreme and the furthest left justice ever to serve on the United States Supreme Court.
In fact, Judge Jackson remains more of a defense attorney for criminals from the bench than a judge.
I have concerns that Judge Jackson will be pinch hitting for one team or the other.
I asked her to define the word woman. The fact that she couldn't or wouldn't answer that question speaks volumes.
I'll vote no. I'm the first time I've ever voted against any Supreme Court nominee.
But there is some bipartisanship here. Tonight, Senators Lisa Murkowski and Mitt Romney joined Senator Susan Collins in announcing their support for Judge Jackson's nomination. While Judge Jackson's confirmation is assured, today's committee deadlock vote puts Judge Jackson in the same company as Justice Clarence Thomas and Robert Bork as the only nominees in the past 47 years to not be voted out of that committee favorably. Again, that is on purpose. They do not want soon-to-be Justice Jackson on that court as a black woman unscathed. But unlike Thomas and Bork, Judge Jackson is neither an extremist nor accused of sexual harassment nor married to an insurrectionist. And she is overwhelmingly viewed favorably by the American public, which should give some Republicans pause, though it clearly does not. As the Daily Beast points out, support for Jackson in a Marquette Law School poll among black adults currently sits at 86%. Among Hispanics, it's at 76%. And among whites, it is at 59%, easily making her the most popular Supreme Court nominee since John Roberts was elevated to Chief Justice in 2005. Joining me now is former Assistant U.S. Attorney Maya Wiley, who will next month become the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. Congratulations, Maya. And I have to say, it struck me, and I will only put this on myself, watching that montage of all of these, right-wing Republican senators denouncing essentially this judge and saying they can't support her, and only these three not Southern justices. It definitely felt for me like watching the Dixiecrats versus the Northern Democrats in the 1960s on civil rights. It sounded like if you just put yourself there, that is how that sounded. Now I feel like I know how that sounded. What do you make of it all?
Well, sadly, let me just start with the joy, because I do think we should all be channeling Senator Booker right now, and I agree with you, Joy. Look, this is a day to celebrate because Judge Jackson will be Justice Jackson. And that matters. It's huge. And by the way, it matters because not only has she gotten the highest rating on qualifications, not only because she is the first black woman who actually went through a confirmation process for the Supreme Court and will be the first person who actually understands what it means when the government violates people's constitutional rights in the criminal justice system. We need that kind of perspective on the court. We are going to get it with this Justice for All. But I will say, I'm with you because, the reality is there is no question in any of the minds of any of these senators that this is a highly qualified jurist who has not only the credentials, the experience, the intellect, but also the temperament to be on this court. And this is the problem. This is not about her in terms of her qualifications. This is about a wedge in our democracy and using that wedge. Dixiecrats were all about, making sure they were preserving a racial status quo. And this certainly feels like, because we do have to call it, but this feels very much like that kind of moment. Lindsey Graham is the example of this because, as he himself said in that clip, he's the one who actually has been the reliable Republican to always take the institutional pro-democracy stance in these confirmations, and he's not doing it now, and that's Trumpism.
Yeah, indeed. As a matter of fact, he's doing worse than that. This is cut 3. I have 4 quick sound bites to play for you. This is one of the first ones. This is number 3. Here's Lindsey Graham. Not only is he not doing what he normally does, and he has elevated her twice. He elevated her to the judgeship she has right now, y'all. Let's not forget, he voted for her to be in the district court right now, the judge she holds. But he's like, nah, I can't do it because now I'm playing Dixiecrat. Here he is making a threat, saying that there will be no more nominees if he has anything to do with it.
If we get back the Senate and we're in charge of this body and there's judicial openings, we will talk to our colleagues on the other side. But if we're in charge, she would not have been before this committee. You would have had somebody more moderate than this.
So, okay, and I'm not, before I let you comment on that, I want to play 2 more things. This is Roy Blunt, just doing exactly what you just said, saying she's qualified, she's great, not voting for her. Here he is, Roy Blunt.
I think she's certainly going to be confirmed. I think it'll be a high point for the country to see her go on the court and take her unique perspective to the court. But I don't think she's the kind of judge that will really do the kind of work that I think needs to be done by the court. And I won't be supporting her, but I'll be joining others in understanding the importance of this moment.
Real quick, Chuck Grassley being berated by a Republican in his district, in his state. Go.
They just beat her up really bad, and I think it was just appalling. And that's all they could come up with. And the main thing they did this for is so they could get TV time.
I'm not going to dispute what you said because I think you described it accurately, but you know that doesn't apply to me, or if you didn't hear.
Well, excuse me.
Durbin complimented me.
Excuse me, Senator. You are the head of the Senate. You're the oldest person there. You've been there 50 years. I mean, it's unbelievable what you've done for Iowa in the past. I have voted for you in the past. And now it's getting to the time where I think you're not for the people, you're more for the party.
Long term, do you foresee any of these men regretting having landed in the history books on the wrong side of history, saying, we will deny this black woman. We don't want this black woman on the court. We don't have a reason for it. She has the same lack of a judicial philosophy that John Roberts attested to when he was running. He said, I don't have a judicial philosophy. They didn't have a problem with that. Do you think ultimately the history books, do they think they'll even care that they're going to come down on the Dixiecrat side of history here?
You know, I won't say that I know the answer to that question, Joy, but I will say this. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope they understand, as people elected to the Senate who went and took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and, frankly, stand up and serve this democracy, that they understand exactly what happened here was not only the attack on a black woman qualified for this job, sending a message, by the way, to black people across this country that doesn't matter what you do. That was the message. Doesn't matter what you do, you will not be good enough. Wrong message for a pluralist democracy. But they also sent the message that said, anybody who has an interest in rising in your profession and in your career on the federal bench, you better meet our ideological litmus test. And that is not the way it has been historically in our process. It is not something that's okay. The third branch of government, the federal judiciary, is supposed to be an independent one. They attacked that today.
Indeed. And the snarling, barking Lindsey Graham image is one, and the Tom Cotton doing the exact same thing. That will never, ever leave my mind or the minds of a lot of voters who are going to remember what the Republican Party is like in November, because they're going to go, oh, that's who you are? We got it. Maya Wiley, thank you and congratulations again on your new post.